Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 536 of the DrunkNerds podcast. And most as always, I am Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Oh man, I'm feeling pretty good. Honestly, after a long work week, I've decided that because tomorrow there's not going to be any of substantial football, that I'm probably gonna play a couple of different games that I've been meaning to go forth and catch up on. Because this better part of this week has been pretty busy, kind of tiring too at some point. Like I've played some games here and there, but I haven't really had a good initial chunk that I've been wanting to dedicate to. What's kind of hilarious is like whenever you get into that work mode and stuff, and it's like you're laying in bed and stuff like that, you're thinking to yourself, well, you know what? Maybe I could just take my Switch over here and I could just play maybe a little bit of something before trying to nut off the bed, and all of a sudden you'd barely make
Yeah,
it like about 30 minutes, and like, oh no, I gotta
yeah,
put this
yeah,
down. That was me like twice this week. And the third time, the third time, I was just basically paying more attention to watching like a stream of like Maximilian Dude in order for me to actually go and it's like, oh no, it's 11 o'clock. God
yeah.
dang it, I gotta go to bed. But other than that, man, it's been fine. It's been fine. I mean, I'm pretty happy in regards to the whole gaming releases in the month of January for a good extent. Dead Space, obviously, some still continuously playing. Fire Emblem Engage, yeah, I started a little bit of Fire Emblem Engage and stuff, but I'll say more about it a little bit later. But how have you
I'm
been
doing
doing,
okay.
Tyler?
It was not. It's been kind of a crazy week with work, so didn't have to work a lot of hours, and then it's gonna be a awful next week at work, and I am on vacation, so I don't have to worry about it. Uh,
Yep.
so that was kind of nice. With my work, we gotta book all of our vacation from like June through May is how our year works at work, and we have to book all our vacation in March. So for like the entire
Hmm.
year, and it's all seniority based. And uh, this coming February was like I picked like a week in June. I get 2 weeks. I picked a week in June, and I picked this was the first week
Yes.
available. This coming week that was available in 2023. That's the reason I picked it, not for any other reason. And it just kind of worked out that one of the worst weeks for probably like for me to be off for my employers. I am off, so it's pretty great. I don't have to like stress out. Like I can actually enjoy the weekend. I can like I don't have to like worry about because like I'm sure a lot of people at work right now are not able to enjoy the weekend because they know um, the hell that's gonna be next week, and I don't have to fucking deal with it. So I'm pretty excited, and I got the next week off. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do, but it looks like it's pretty decent out weather-wise. So I was able to take Louis out for my dog for WALK, so that's pretty nice.
Hmm.
Playing some games, so I've been enjoying that, and yeah, it's been pretty nice. But this time next week, I will be in a state of depression um, that will worry you immensely for my well-being because it's not gonna be pretty.
Hmm.
Because it's as high as I'm feeling right now. I'm on day one of my 9-day vacation. I'm on day 10 of being sick, which is very frustrating. But it's right now it's just like a sinus thing. But yeah, doing okay though otherwise. So it's been a pretty enjoyable day. Like like tomorrow, like it does suck. Tomorrow Sunday, it's the first weekend without football since like August, which sucks.
Yeah.
Um, it's like bittersweet because like man I love football, but it also kind of sucks sometimes where it's like you don't have a lot of it's like the weekend is like we gotta cram everything. I know it's a being an adult, but it's like I gotta do everything in the weekend. But also like one of my 2 days off a week uh, is like literally 10 hours straight of football. That's like really just got Saturday to like do everything. Uh, so yeah, it's like bittersweet where it's like yeah, with no football on, Super Bowl's next weekend. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited though because it's like yeah, I don't like I can just kind of do whatever. Yeah, I play a bunch of games and shit. I don't have to like try to cram everything in the morning. Usually like I'll get up early on Sundays and like I'll get up like 7 and try game out then and stuff like that. So it's kind of yeah, it's kind of nice. I can just kind of do whatever all day. So that's been kind of nice. But yeah. But yeah, if you
Nice.
are, if you're new to this, you listen to us for the 536th time. I am Tyler. That's Colonel Gables. We do this every week. We record
Hmm.
and talk about video games, and I usually drink a little bit of beer while we're doing it. But if you're liking this, or if you're a fan or whatever, please Like, follow, subscribe down in the description down below. You can see the links to all of our socials, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that. Whether you're an audio or visual watcher or listener, whatever, please go there. Like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, 5-star reviews, shares. Shares probably the most important thing you can really do. But yeah, tell your friends, all that fun jazz. But thank you guys so much for watching. But Gables, we were talking about for the show. This is maybe
Hmm.
one of the craziest fucking weeks of like news we've had. That's not like E3 in a long time.
Yeah.
So let's fucking get into it because we're already 5 minutes into this podcast. I don't know how the fuck we're gonna get through this podcast without it being 3 hours. Um, Starting off here, big news. Um, IGN kind of got the originally reported this, and a lot of other people like VGC, Kotaku, GameSpot, Jeff Grubb, all the leakers out there have all kind of corroborated reports, adding more stuff to the details that apparently there will be no when the goddamn fucking OBS. Your picture just disappeared. Give me 1 second, Gables. I gotta fix this.
All right. All right.
Um, so they won't be able to hear you, but I can. But which one am I? I'm two. I'm two. Okay. But apparently, no Nintendo, no PlayStation, no Xbox at this coming E3. Um, so a lot to unpack here. So some of the stuff that's kind of come out from these reports is that Nintendo doesn't believe they're gonna have like enough big games to make it like viable for them to be there. Now they can hear you, Gables. If you want to talk, you're able to talk. Um,
Right. Right.
but so apparently, yeah, they don't think there's gonna be enough games for it to be viable for them to be there. But also on top of that, Sony, oh, got a little Chico back there. But
Yeah. He's putting his 2 cents in.
yeah, he's not a fan of this. He's not a fan of the death of E3. Um, but also, Sony left back in 2019 before they announced. I think it was like late 2019, early 2020, before COVID and anything hit, that they were not going to be a part of it. And
Yeah.
then Xbox has been doing their thing, but it's been across the street for the last about 7 or 8 years now. But like they've technically been a part of E3, but they're all their stuff has been across the street, so they're not like paying to rent out a space, anything like that.
Right.
Um, some of the stuff out of this is that some of the sources that IGN and a couple of people have talked to here is one knowledgeable source. There have been ongoing frustrations with the ESA over the last 3 years, who they claim have incredibly mishandled the brand E3 brand over the last 3 years. They corroborated other IGN sources in saying that several major E3 organizers have departed the ESA, leaving a new group to sweep up after them and criticize Repop's handling of the event. So that's something we've talked about over the years. And that's some stuff that's come out is that a lot of people after 2019, because even before COVID and all that, like there was a lot of grumbles, and like Jeff Keighley announced shortly after E3 2019 that he was done. He was gonna like, and someone asked him, "Oh, was it like a money thing?" And he's like, "We didn't even discuss money." He was very frustrated. We heard about like reports that like a lot of the publishers, a lot of the big three, were pretty frustrated with the way they've been handling it, and like they've bungled the bag. And then like also in 2018, they like there was that massive leak where they leaked the addresses of all of like the journalists and the people working at the events. Like everybody's all the information leaked. There's this
Yeah.
huge
That
leak.
was the huge one in 2019.
Yeah, so you had all that on top of it, and it's been years of build up of like frustration and stuff like that, and like of the event of E3. And it's like like something that I didn't realize for a long time, and not maybe didn't realize, but just didn't think about, was the fact that like ESA has been charging like insane prices for people to be a part of this thing. Like just the basically like ESA is renting out the LA Convention Center and
Right.
then charging the publishers an obscene fee to be a part of it. And then they have to hire people to build and create these sets, and then also put on an event itself. Where like especially if they're the in-person ones like EA Play or like the Microsoft Bethesda or Sony ones, like to rent out a arena, or not arena, but like an event center, or to put on these things, events would cost them tens of millions of dollars to do.
Mm.
And it's like, understandably, it's like we're paying tens of millions of dollars to do all this, and we're not really getting anything out of this. And especially, I think 2018 was like that was the year that like PlayStation did that weird event where like They
Mm-hmm.
did the first part with like Last of Us inside that looked like the farm from like the opening scene of Last of Us.
Yep.
When they have the dance and everything like that. And then there was like that 30-minute like in between thing. And then they went to the other room and they showed off like Resident Evil 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, a couple other things.
Yes.
And that was like their last one. And I think they're at that point like, all right, we're just done here. Like, cause like it was like kind of cool and like it was kind of cool looking the way it did it, but like it was very clunky. I think it was overall like the experience was negative for everybody involved, even though the games itself were really good. Um, yeah, like even like Phil Spencer did an interview talking about like the importance of E3 and like Microsoft being on the board of the ESA. But even they're not going to be part of E3 really this year. They've said they're going to do an event in June, but they haven't said if it's going to be part of Summer Game Fest, if it's going to be part of um E3 or not. But also here, like some other stuff coming out of this is that Repop began contacting publishers about E3 last fall while promising to book spots in December, but with less than 6 months to go until E3, the sources say there's a lot of missing information. Even more here, there's not a good sense. This is from some other people here. There's not a good sense that there's an understanding of what this show is going to be or how it will come together, which is strange from a company that does such an amazing job with PAX twice a year. It seemed like they'd be perfect shepherds for something like E3. So who knows where the ESA is, or who's this? Who? I'm sorry. So who knows where the issue is? Is it an ESA issue? Is it a repop issue? But there seems to be a lot of genuine interest from game publishers in the concept of E3. But it's really frustrating that we don't have a good solution, any good solutions. The information flow has been great. I don't think anyone wants to be the first to go out there. A couple other things here. E3 is June 13th through the 16th. That's Monday through Friday. The first Tuesday through Friday rather. Tuesday, Wednesday is like for journalists and content creators go, and then the 15th and the 16th are gamer days. That's where the public can go, and that's part of it too. What we've heard is that like, and Summer Game Fest starts the before that on June 8th. So
Yeah.
like all this is going on in LA. So a lot of people frustrated, confused, like publishers, content creators, journalists. IG, the big website IGN, Kotaku, Video Game Chronicles, GameSpot, all those guys. Where it's like, do we send people out here for now? It's gonna be like, is this gonna be a week and a half event? Is it worth sending? Like, what is exactly Summer Game Fest gonna be? What's gonna be there? What's because like you gotta think I've listened to people talk about like usually like these big sites and like stuff like that, like they start planning for E3 back in like December. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what the fuck do they do? It's like, is it worth planning for this stuff? Is it like it's a thing where it's like it's not just like what's going on with like who's gonna be there as far as like is it gonna be worth it for people to go, and like even like content creators are gonna like it costs them money to go, like they're paying their own dimes to go there, like no one's paying them to go there, like,
Right.
whether they're streamers or just YouTubers, whatever. It's like, is it worth them to go there, like to lose, because now they're not making it like their their YouTube channel, their Twitch stream, whatever is gonna be dead for days while they go do this thing, and that's losing the money, but they think they're gonna make up that money in the back end by going like, hey, here's all the stuff I got from E3. Is that gonna be worth it? Are they gonna make that money back? Are they gonna make that time? Is it gonna make it worth it, valuable for them? Um, just a lot, and like you hear about like the publishers were really pissed off when they announced like the consumers can go to the event because like they like publishers were not prepared. And you heard about like stories about like Nintendo, like I think it was 2018 was the first year we had in-person events, or 2017, I can't remember which one. And it was designed for like a normal like E3 with like, here's the journalists, here's the people working at the events coming through, and then like no, here's 50,000 people from the outside who like go through, and like literally the people at the event working there had to work overnight to redo and redesign the entirety of their booths so they can
Oh
like have
no.
a flow of people come through and maybe be functional, so people
Mm-hmm.
can like, you were hearing about stories about people that paid tons of money to go there just to buy a ticket, not even like a flight, to pay the obscene prices in LA for food and hotel room, but to spend 3-4 hours waiting in line to play one game. So this whole thing has been a clusterfuck, and I think a lot of us were like excited because like initially Repop in 2019 wanted to take over, and then ESA said no because they didn't want to pay the money for Repop to do this. But it sounds like even whether who knows if it's a Repop or like they said like an ESA issue, it's like, yeah, I mean, what is E3 if it doesn't have Nintendo? I mean, PlayStation, yeah, they've been gone for a few years. Xbox has been across the street for the last several years now. Nintendo has never not been at an E3 since year one. They've never missed one. So I mean, Gables, how you feel about like the news of kind of another lackluster June?
Hmm. Well, honestly, I'm not too surprised with this core aspect. And quite honestly, when the news happened this week, that was being reported upon, all these essential things to where, okay, the big three are not going to be inside of like the initial E3 sort of setting and stuff with June. Honestly, all three of them have different ways to advertise what game content they want to go through. Each of them have like specific types of state of plays or directs or whatever types of things where they could just post it on their media sites, either on Twitter or on Facebook or like on YouTube or TikTok or where the freaking hell you're going to go for and
Yeah,
push a lot of your content. But
Pornhub.
that would actually be pretty intelligent from a gaming site to go forth
Yeah,
and do
I
that.
mean, maybe,
But
what if we should do the podcast on Pornhub?
no,
We get views.
I know we would get views, but the ones that we probably want.
What we just got like maybe instead of our faces, we just like we have put the camera on our feet.
I don't want it that. But anyway, getting back to the whole point at hand here, to where all three of these major companies don't need to be at E3 in order to substantially advertise what games that they have and stuff. From what it's being reported upon on Nintendo not having as strong a release year or something like that as like what in years past or something like that. I mean, quintessentially, we're taking the word upon like somebody that's reporting something like possibly maybe the case from like IGN Insider
Well, no,
or something.
that wasn't from that part was from Andy Robinson from VGC.
Okay,
He's pretty
from
plugged in. So
VGC.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah, I
okay,
mean, but this has been corroborated by multiple people. This isn't just by one person. This is
yeah,
several. And this isn't just like this year. This is just like they're not ready for like because like it takes like a long time to like put these trailers, put these like gameplay features together. Like you gotta think about too. Like a lot of these studios, a lot of these companies, they shut down or laid off like a lot of their event people during
yep,
COVID. Um, and they probably weren't planning on because like I remember like watching the God of War documentary for 2018, and like that first time they showed off when they officially revealed God of War 2018, and they did like
yeah,
just a 10-minute trailer teaser thing. Took them a year to put together just for that one piece.
huh,
And you got also I think like games are like they've had so many issues with getting games out because of COVID, because of everything, games being bigger than ever, blah blah blah, the short staff, all the things we already know we have to talk about forever. Um, it's like, do they want to like take a chunk of people to like work on something else for a year
mm-hmm.
for this event, or like is that worth it to them? Like that's just, I mean, there's so many things where yeah, like there's so many dominoes here that have been knocked over. I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but like a lot of things have fallen over. I don't know if we can pick back up, but to put back together.
But to get to the question in hand, is like, is E3 without the big three attending or having some form of presence inside of the event? I honestly don't think so. Not in the grand spectacle of what it once was. Granted, ever since E3 was a thing, we'd had major video game publishers showcase their games.
Mm.
So I don't truly believe it's an E3 event or a substantial point of emphasis of it being a majorly yearly event and stuff that without those big three. Granted, they're going to have probably other types of publishers or other types of possibly whomever they can get to that point in order to have the things, but it's not the same. It's
Yeah.
not the same without the big
Mm.
three showcasing doing their stuff. And quite honestly, what the hell are you doing if you can't even get anything major in regards to your settings and stuff?
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion upon it.
Yeah. I mean, I largely agree with you. Where like I figured Sony would be a long shot to come back in because like I said they left before them like Xbox has always had an event during in June every year. Even the 2 years we've had like 2020, 22, we didn't have an E3, and they still did events regardless. The press conferences, whether you want to call them. Nintendo didn't do a June Direct in 2020 or 2022. Like they
No.
almost like look like I thought they were shoe in because to me they always look like they were still dedicated to E3 because the 2 years that Summer Game Fest happened, where in E3 like 2021 we got a June Direct, 2020
Hmm.
2022 no directs, no E3. So I was like, okay, I figured they're a shoe in at least to have one. And I mean, to kind of like double back on with them not having enough games to talk about or anything like that. Like, I mean, we're in this weird spot where like we are at the end of like whether Nintendo's gonna win or not, we are at the end of the generation for that Switch.
Right,
And it's
right.
like
But
we've
that's
seen
like
this.
a
Go ahead.
but like I was just saying though, even in regards to like the Nintendo stuff going on, that's a whole nother can of worms entirely. If that remains, if that go forth and remains to be like gone through and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, even with like the consideration of like with E3 what we got going here, it's like without the major three, you're left with the leftovers of everyone else, and it's not E3 at that point. It's quintessentially a summer's game. It's pretty much like a summer's game fest or like a spin-off of a summer's game fest, which we don't even know what the hell is going to be
yeah,
orchestrated for that this year.
well,
So,
yeah. It's well,
yeah.
it's an in-person event. And they have like he's gonna do like the hour and a half, 2 hour long show that always has the kickoff show. Um, but yeah, I mean, like with like I was saying with the Nintendo thing, where it's like I think we're in that stage where like kind of where we were like with Xbox and PlayStation the last like
Hmm.
2018, 2019, where we got a lot of third party stuff from Xbox the last couple of years of the Xbox One generation. Um, and then 2018, 2019, we kind of kept seeing more of the same. Like, remember they had the big four, they had like Days Gone, Death Stranding, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima. We kept seeing them over and over
Hmm.
again because they're not going to show the goods until like the new consoles come out. You know, like we're getting
Right.
up to that. Like the build kind of we didn't really see the goods from Nintendo for a long time either because I mean what really the Wii U was dead until after like 2015 was like really the last year we got anything of consequence. So we had like two
Yep.
years of like nothing from them. And then like that 2017 was an awesome fucking year. 2016, yeah, 2017 was an awesome fucking year because like here like they start boom January with their event. Here's like a bunch of shit coming, and then that June direct. Here's fucking ton more stuff. Here's Mario Odyssey, all this other shit. Um, and I think we're at that same spot with with the Switch where it's like I mean, the Tears of the Kingdom is before E3, so that you can't really show that off unless you got like DLC or something. I guess maybe. Um, I mean, you could do Metroid, I guess, if they don't know. But I mean, we're gonna talk about it here soon with the direct next week possibly. But like, what don't we know about coming up soon? You know, I don't know. So I believe the fact that like maybe they don't have enough, and they're just kind of waiting until the Switch 2 or the fuck it's gonna be comes out, and then I think next year could be a big time year of like big, maybe not a bunch of big games, but a bunch of big announcements from Nintendo next year because they're probably gonna be. I feel like if we're not looking at it, we don't have at least substantial rumors of a Switch 2 or whatever by the end of this year. I'm gonna blow my fucking brains out because I don't want to fucking deal with another goddamn year of like Switch Pro. Is it gonna be it? I'm gonna fucking go insane. It's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, I agree with you. Like I think they could. Jeff Keighley said this a couple years ago, going into Game Awards 2021. At Game Awards 2021 ended up being it was some substantial news there, but it wasn't like a plethora of news there. It's like a lot of small stuff, but a couple big bangers. Not like this past year where we had fucking wall to wall of bangers of like big announcements, big stuff shown off. He said this that you're only as good as what you have, and that's very true. Like, and if Capcom, if Square Enix, and if EA comes back or whatever, like, and Xbox has a great press, if they can get some the big dogs of the third party stuff to come in there and have really great press conferences, then that could be enough. But like, it won't equal to like the greatest E3s of all time, but like it could be enough to like it keeps the relevancy of E3 alive. Like I don't think people are saying
I
this
see
might be
what you mean.
this might be them. People are saying this is probably going to be the last year. I'm not there yet. Maybe that's wishful thinking because I love E3. It's gaming Christmas, and like I don't want it to go. Like I've said for years, like I don't necessarily need E3, the name, the logo, but like I love that event. I love those like 3-4 days of just crazy press conferences. Like, oh my god, that was fucking nuts. And we got fucking Play Nintendo on Tuesday, or oh my god, that was awesome. In 3 hours, we got Xbox. Like, how they gonna top that? I love that stuff, and I don't want it to go away. And whether that's Summer Game Fest or somebody else, I don't care. I just want it. But yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see. But I don't think it's the end, but it's I'm not feeling positive about it. But Gables, let's move on here.
Okay.
Story number two here, we kind of touched upon it already. Um, sounds very like we talked about this last week that there were some rumblings that there could be a direct Nintendo Direct in February. Sound like it's pretty possibly going to happen next week. And I made this joke last week that I'm like, hey, it'd be great if it happened this coming week because I'm off. And Jeff Grubb talked about this. He said he's not promising it's going to happen, but for everybody he's talked about or he's talked to about it and heard from multiple people that it sounds like it's going to happen next week. And then he's hearing the end of the week, which makes sense. I was assuming Thursday because typically directs either on Tuesday or Thursday. It seems more like lately it's more likely Thursday. Um, and some other stuff that kind of corroborated with that is that Advance Wars 1 Plus 2, which I've talked about over and over again. I've had that game pre-ordered, paid off for 2 fucking years. I'm just waiting for it. Obviously, it was supposed to come out last December 2021. Got delayed to
Hmm.
April of last year, and then like 2 weeks before the game was to come out, uh, Russia invaded Ukraine, and literally the first level of Advance Wars is their version of Russia invading a country. So I can understand why at that point it's like maybe not the best time to put this game out. And I don't think it was that big of a deal, but I can see why. Like, we don't want to advertise this. But so I'm kind of shocked it hasn't happened since then. But there's been a lot of people have been like not rumored, but like suggesting that they think what would most likely happen is they just like shadow drop it essentially, and not really like, but just like hey, it's out today or it's out tomorrow. Tomorrow, like let's just get it the fuck out of here. Um, excuse me, I got burps there. But there's been some updates in the back end for Tears of the Kingdom and Advance Wars on the eShop. People have seen, and people are now taking pre-orders again. Like they stopped taking pre-orders for a long time on Advance Wars, and certain stores are taking pre-orders again in the last couple weeks. And a couple of stores have apparently gotten an advertisement, like the little billboard, like the little foldable things,
The
or like the little
cutouts.
cutouts, yeah, or like a poster, or it says it's an Advance Wars cutout or poster, and it says available now. So kind of corroborates that story, like not story, but like people like thinking like business like that might be what they do is like, hey, I can see them have the direct on Thursday, and hey, Advance Wars is out tomorrow. It's on Friday,
Mm.
just because typically Friday is a big release day. I can see that happening. Um, but yeah, I mean, Gables, what is? I mean, we're going to this direct. We talk about it over and over again. We don't really know a lot from Nintendo. We got Advance Wars, Tears of the Kingdom, which we already have a date for, Pikmin 4, and then there's been like Metroid Prime 4, and then there's the rumors of like the Zelda collection and the Metroid Prime remake. But I mean, what exactly are you expecting? What you're my Jason Giambi of predictions, stuff like that, like home runs, strikeouts. That's all you know. But I mean, honestly, like what are you thinking? What is most likely to show up at this? Assuming this direct happens, what are you expecting out of this?
Okay, I'm okay. How to put it? I expect to address the elephant in the room right now. I mean, the most, you know, worst hidden stealth drop secret as is now starting to become here. I think that there is probably going to be, with seeing what has been available and what is leaking into retail stores and stuff, that Advance Wars most likely is probably going to be stealth dropped during
Hmm.
this direct. I mean, all signs are leading towards this happening relatively soon, which adds more credence to not only what Jeff Grubb is collaborating, but also what other people, other insiders are collaborating too. With, hey, that there's a potential Nintendo Direct happening next week. From what we may see inside of it, if it's not say more Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I will be surprised. I mean, hear me out on this one. I feel like that there's not going to be a lot of new content that's going to be readily presented inside here. Try to keep things level here. I think the most safest thing that they're probably going to be doing is probably announce a lot of different ports. And I'm not talking about just like the Zelda collection or something like that. Maybe we'll see Metroid Prime in regards to the whole like collaboration, like the ports and stuff like that. Maybe not so much the trilogy, maybe be the original Metroid
Yeah,
Prime,
the
kind of like
rumors have
what
been it's
we've.
supposed to be a Metroid Prime 1, like a full blown remake, and then there's supposed to be like a remaster of 2 and 3 like, down the road.
Because I've had this inkling ever since this year started to where this feels like Nintendo's last major year with the Switch.
Yeah,
And what better way to go forth and end this system's cycle before the introduction of a new system than have a lot of your different ports and a lot of your different things presented full force and front and center? Because you're going to want content to sustain people up until not only the major announcement of, hey, here's this new system that's going to be going on here. Hey, here's this new Switch bundle here of Tears of the Kingdom that we've already seen potential
yeah.
leaks. and
Yeah,
stuff already of,
we've seen the pictures of it already. Yeah.
that's more fuel to the fire that there's probably going to be a direct soon. Honestly, if not for the Zelda stuff or the eShop stuff, or like with what the retailers are getting for Advance War cutouts and other types of things, seeing that potential console bundle be announced, seeing a stealth drop of Advance Wars, like 1+2 reboot camp, or even like more of like say potential like ports or something like that, or other types of potential remasters being showcased inside this, I would not doubt that that's going to be majorly happening. Although during this one, I would think that we're probably going to have one major surprise in regards to probably a first party game. And I'm thinking this is probably going to be where they're going to announce the new Mario game. I feel like that it could potentially be something related to 2D Mario. And I feel like it's going to collaborate with the Mario movie that's going to be coming out in April. So, hey, you guys loved watching the Mario movie in April. Here's a game that's going to be front and center, like towards maybe around that time or
Yeah.
possibly towards June. You know, it's something that's safe from Nintendo's point of view, but at the same time, if you have a Super Mario Brothers game tie in like from the success of the movie and people are now wanting more Mario than ever, that's the most ideal time to launch a new Mario game.
Yeah.
So I know it's a long shot, and you know what? I fucking haven't done this in a while, and I'm just going to say this right
Oh
now.
Jesus, here we go.
I feel like that they're going to release another 2D Mario this year, and it's going to be around
Okay,
the
that's pretty
April
tame for you. That's like a
thing.
bunt. That you're bunting right now.
Oh man, that's a bunt, man.
I was
That's just
expecting like we're gonna get Metroid Prime 4, and they're gonna announce 5. We're gonna.
oh no, oh no, 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 no. I don't even think they're gonna go forth and even say anything Metroid Prime 4 related during this direct. I have a good feeling that they're not going to. If anything, if it's anything Metroid related, it's gonna be the already finished, supposedly Metroid Prime 1 remaster,
Mhm, mhm.
and they're probably gonna aim it towards March. That's what I'm thinking.
I think it could be a summer if they don't have like. I think it's because like we unless I, yeah, I don't know. Who knows when Pikmin's gonna happen? But um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Pikmin's more of a summer game, in my personal
yeah,
opinion.
I'm just trying to because we don't have like a holiday game for them. But I mean, we've seen them announce holiday games in fucking September before. So,
Although
um,
I could see that with a Metroid Prime sort of like remaster and stuff, that it could be like a potential like say middle of the summer sort of road thing.
July, something like that.
I
Yeah,
think you're right in that regard. So probably not in March. I mean, I'll retract that. I mean,
yeah.
it would not make any sense with having it in March.
Yeah, and I was thinking with like the Zelda collection thing, where like when do you put that out? Because like you got let's assume Tears of the Kingdom doesn't get delayed. Um, it's like they always like to have one every year. Like you could put that in March because they like to have one every fiscal year. But it's like
If you're gonna have a Zelda collection type of like thing, like we were thinking that we're gonna be getting, that September period would be probably the most
yeah,
ideal.
it's just so hard because we don't really like we're in this point where we just don't know like what else is coming from them. And yeah, it's like we have like I mean we just yeah like we talked about we have the Pikmin 4, we have Tears of the Kingdom, we have Metro Prime 4, which I honestly don't even I wouldn't be shocked if you go through the whole year without seeing that game. Um,
Yeah.
let alone it come out. So yeah, assume we have Pikmin 4, Tears of the Kingdom, Metroid Prime 1, Zelda Collection. Yeah, I just feel like I feel like we're at the end of that Wii U era, and like the Tears of the Kingdom is like that is it. We've
Yep.
heard the rumors for a while about the Mario 2D game, and like the rumors were like never saying it was gonna be out on the game, or the movie rather. I think it'd be kind of cool if they did it. Maybe, like I guess like if they do that in March, like it's a Mario game, they don't need to have a long tail for these games.
Well, no, no. If
And
they could basically release it during like the freaking like near close to like that October November sort of like
yeah,
release right there is their major Mario release, and that still would be fine because they could tie other people in for like substantial re- things upon not just Mario Kart 8 stuff, but also in regards to their whole Switch Online service.
yeah,
You know,
I could just see them definitely wanting to like they want that
like
Last of
Game
Us
Boy.
effect, they want that Witcher effect, the Cyberpunk effect. You know, where it's like we've talked about over and over again, like where these big IPs come out, like these games get like good IPs that come out, like People go out and buy the games. Like we've seen, Cyberpunk was bigger last year than it ever was
Right.
because of the anime. Witcher was bigger in 2019 than it was when it.
2019 because of the Netflix
Yeah, it
series.
was
Yes.
bigger in 2019 than it was in 2015 when it launched because
Yep.
of the Netflix series. So, um, yeah, I don't know. We're just in a weird spot with it. I feel like we're definitely in a weird spot with everything, just because everything's so fucked up right now. We're like a lot of shit's just been like we've seen a lot of the stuff and like a lot of shit's just getting delayed. Um,
But I will say one more thing before I let you have your guest right
okay,
here. I don't believe we're going to see that Mario sports game in this direct.
no, I don't think there's really any left. Like I know they can do baseball.
There was rumblings that they're possibly going to be doing like a Mario like sports game, and it could be baseball.
Yeah, because the sports game people they didn't make Strikers. Strikers was made by
Oh boy, it's
the
not
Luigi Mansion
Camelot.
3 people.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. God
Um,
damn it! Trying
I
to
can't.
remember the name of the devs.
Yeah, I can't remember right now.
Not
Um,
Mercury Stream, but someone else.
Mercury Stream is um they did the Metroid game from last year.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's right.
it,
I forgot what they're
Next
called, but
Level
the Nintendo
Games.
Next Level Games. That's
Yeah,
right.
I don't
Next Level
remember
Games is the one
who
that
did
did
the
that.
Mario Golf game. Mario, who I can't. They made the last game they did was Mario Golf. Um,
Mario
Super
Golf.
Rush.
Well, it's
Uh,
not Camelot, that's for
it is
sure.
Camelot. Mario Golf is Camelot.
Okay.
Um,
Jeez.
so yeah, Camelot has put a game out. That was 2020 though, 2021 rather. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know. I get the only thing I really want from this is just Nintendo games.
Yeah,
Like I'm so tired of like
absolutely.
we've had these directs and they just haven't had a banger like awesome like they've had some cool announcements. Don't get me wrong, but we've had a lot of just overall pretty bad directs. Like that last direct, which was like 9 fucking JRPG farming games. Um,
That's the thing, man.
I'm just
It was the last major direct we had. I mean, it was very like structured to a specific type of demographic, and that was the
yeah
people that are using their Switches like how major RPG fans use the Vita for their handheld of
yeah
choice in regards to the major RPG stuff. This is more or less for the hardcore RPG fans of that last direct.
yeah. I, and I don't know if we're gonna get them because like I said I feel like they're just holding back at this point until like I don't think we're getting another 3D Mario game. I feel like that's gonna be like a
Right.
Switch 2 launch game.
That's why
Um,
I feel like we're gonna have just major league ports
yeah, I mean,
announced
yeah,
here or possibly like throughout the rest of this
yeah.
year.
Like, I honestly, I think Metro Prime 4 at this point is gonna be a Switch 2 game. Um,
Mm.
that's yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, that's really all I want. That's my expectation. Is just like give me some Nintendo games. Let's have a nice swan song to the fucking Switch. Before we move on, because I feel like that. Yeah, like you said, like I
Yeah,
think this is the last fiscal year of the Switch as we know it, and I think once
dude.
we get into next year, that's where we're gonna start seeing fucking uh, Switch 2 stuff. So
I just really feel like that Tears of the Kingdom. I think that's Nintendo's one of their last major swan songs for
yeah,
that Switch.
and like yeah, we don't really know a lot. We haven't seen like we've had like 2.5 trailers like since that game got announced at E3 2019. Yeah, 2019. So it's been it's been nearly 4 years now, and we've got maybe 4 minutes
I
of gameplay.
know.
So
It's like everything is tying into this being the last major year of the Switch.
mm,
The anomaly, obviously, with the whole increased production of the Switch consoles
yeah,
itself.
that's the whole thing that's fucked me up. Is
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing. It's like they're trying to initially produce a lot more to try to clear stock, it
yeah.
feels
I
like.
feel like they're just trying to get to the point where they could beat the PS2 record. I think
That
that's
could
their goal.
potentially the
That is,
way if they tried to attempt to do that, they would have to do a major price cut.
I don't think they. No, they don't. They sold 19 million units last year
That's
in year
true.
6. They don't do shit. What are we at? Switch. I mean, dude. 2 years ago, they raised the price on us 2 years ago, so they don't do a goddamn thing. Um,
All
this
depends upon what they do with
yeah. So the
it.
Switch is at 114 million units as of December 31st. Um, PS2 sales.
I just find it fascinating how we're not even at the point of saturation, like oversaturation with the Switch console, and it's still selling that well.
Yeah, so the PS2 is at 155 million. They still got a ways to go. So, um, but let's move on here to
Hmm.
some other news. Um, just a lot here. I initially had like this all in like the other news this week's part, and it's just so many of them that we had to talk about. So we had a whole podcast 2 weeks was that last week 2 weeks ago? I can't remember what it was. Time is a flat circle. Where we talked about like Marvel's Avengers shutting down. We had the Suicide Squad leak happen.
Uh-huh.
Uh, there was Halo Infinite, the 343 layoffs, all that, and the
Yep.
future of Halo Infinite and 343 as we know it. So it's getting crazier. So this week alone, Rumbleverse announced they're shutting down on February
Yep.
28th. They launch August 11th.
Yeah.
So 6 months on the market, shut down. Crossfire X shutting down in May. Knockouts, that game came out last February, so just about a year on the market. Knockout City
Hmm.
shutting down June 6th. It's been out for a little over. At that point, it'll be just like about 2.25 years. Back for Blood production is ending. They're not shutting down, but that game is like they're not making any more content. You can
They're
still
done with it.
you'll still be able to play it. Going back to Knockout City, they will be putting it up on private servers for PC people. So if you're playing on a PC, you can still do private servers with your friends. So that's pretty cool. Um,
Okay.
Apex Legends mobile is being shut down after Google Store and um, Apple Store announced it as game of the year just a month ago.
That's ridiculous.
I guess the issue was I guess the game's actually really good, but the problem is like the studio they hired to make it. Like they're having issues like getting content out on a regular basis. So I
Ah,
think it's one of those things where it's like, if anything, Respawn is known for quality, and that it probably like, hey, it's successful and it's a good game, but like you're hurting the image of Respawn, which I understand, like because Respawn is EA's baby at this point. Um, Halo Infinite, we've talked about the issues on that one. Marvel's Avengers shutting down in September. We've known about that one, but just a weird week of a lot of this like I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to kind of funny games daily, and Blessing was talking about was it Rumbleverse? Rumbleverse getting shut down.
Rumbleverse, yes.
And while he was talking about that, they were talking about like the future of like games as a service games, and he mentioned like, man, it's like he mentioned Knockout City is like, man, if that game gets announced getting shut down, I'd be fucking depressed about that. Literally the next day, they announced the game's getting shut down. Um,
Oh, that's unintentional,
yeah,
but oh wow.
yeah. So, and it was yeah. I mean, it was literally every day a game was announced being production ended or is being shut down. I don't know. We talk about this all the time about games of service, and I talk about this with like like it was just a couple weeks ago we were talking about games of service stuff before. It's like literally the whole PR sometimes about these games is like people are like gamers are so like worried and concerned and frustrated about like games coming out as games as a service at this point where it's like we don't want it to be there. Like a Marvel's Avengers type of situation. Like we just want a great Marvel's Avengers game. We don't want all the other bullshit. Um, where they spend the whole PR campaign is them doing wordplay and showing the game and like events without showing the game's service parts. Where it's like, hey, it's not a game
Right.
service. You can just play with your friends, and there's also grinding and there's all. But don't worry about that. It's a game. It's a single player game. Um, like that's not good. That's not a good thing. Like when you have to like hide shit and like do like spin and wordplay to like to like try not trick but like show the positives, which I get. That's the whole point of PR. But it's like
Right.
it's very weird when it's
Right.
like you have to like like the games of service stuff is like not a toxic word, but it definitely brings negative connotations right away. Uh, so um, I don't know. I just people were talking about like, is the games of service bubble burst? And I don't know if it's burst. Rather, there's
We're not
only go ahead.
that's the thing, man. It's like it's not at the point of bursting yet. What we're at is the oversaturation point.
Mm,
We're at the point where there are so many different live service games that it's they're basically kind of eating up each other's space.
yeah,
It's getting to that point to where now, because there's only so many people that want to invest inside of a live service game, they're choosing the ones that they're going to stick with the most. And unfortunately, for a lot of the smaller ones that have been releasing over the past few years, their lunches are already ate,
yeah,
because it's like a lot of those gamers have moved back to either playing some of the major live service games like we're talking about through Apex Legends, we're talking about Fortnite, we're talking about even like the
Warzone.
ones that yeah, like Warzone, just the ones that you wouldn't think would be retaining a lot of that stuff, all this new stuff going on, but still running. Even Destiny 2 counts as one as well.
Yeah.
The point being is like it's sad that a lot of these live service games are going to be at their end or they're ceasing production in regards to new content, and largely that's due in large part to people have only so much time they want to spend on a live service game. And really, unless you're completely immersed inside of that one live service game and you're spending money, you're getting skins, you're doing whatever type of microtransaction stuff that you want to readily make that game more enjoyable for yourself, it's going to be hard to retain a lot of new players in regards to a thing that's not as well documented or it's not as well preserved or even like presented in terms of like advertisements and stuff. If it doesn't have that one type of main sell for the game itself, it's not going to do well.
Mm.
Or even in some cases, like the ones that had some decent gameplay, from what I've seen, like say with knockouts, like knockout, and with Rumbleverse and stuff, to where there were some people that really loved playing these games because of their little like hitches and everything else like that that made the gameplay a lot more fun. I mean, Rumbleverse, for example, like suplexing somebody off of the top of a skyscraper
Yeah.
all the way down to the thing
Like
right
that
there.
game was
It's
made
like
for us.
exactly. It was the type of game that was made for us, but at the same time, it was not well enough to where it could sustain an potential like live service sort of like atmosphere in that stuff. And why I think it's going to a point where it's oversaturation. I mean, this is one of the many danger signs where a specific genre of a game is getting ready to either go on like a swift decline, because we've seen it before in the past. We've seen games that try to implement multiplayer games, like multiplayer modes inside of single player oriented games. We've seen people try to we've seen developers try to like go and put in loot boxes and other microtransactions to try to get people like more money out of players and stuff when they don't even need to be there. The most egregious case that we can think of maybe most recently would be the whole restructuring of like Gotham Knights, to where that
Battlefront
thing,
2.
even Battlefront 2, yeah, Battlefront 2 in that respect as well had a lot of major type of microtransactions or things just worked embedded inside of it, but once it released, it was pretty much one of the biggest black eyes EA has had in
Yeah.
that regards. And this is coming from like this is coming from like the Star Wars Battlefront 2 things as well, you know? It's like the point being is like we're not at the point where the bubble has bursted with the live service games. We're at the point now to where it's getting close to start a shifting of like the decline, because with how many games you can invest inside of a day or in a week or whichever the point, gamers want to stick with the ones that are most fun to them, which either are separated into a couple different groups. And the ones I can immediately think of are the ones that only play maybe one or two games and they're just free like live service games, like your Fortnites or your
Mm.
War Zones or something like that. And then there's everybody else that want to play the games that they want to go forth and do. They're single player oriented games. They're friggin' whatever type of games, like they're RPGs or shooters or whatsoever and stuff. They're the ones that play regular games, like kind of like what you and I do, Tyler,
Yeah.
to where we go and we buy the ones that we want to play a month. We'll play through them and stuff. Oh, okay. And then we'll go on to the next stuff.
Yeah. But then we have like one game. Like I have Madden. You have Destiny 2. Like
Yeah.
that's your side game. That's your other
Yep.
game. Like a lot of people have that other game, and it's like yeah, like there's only so many of these people, and like yeah, like you mentioned, like Warzone, Destiny 2,
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite. Like there's like the small like the tier below that, like Fall Guys, Rocket League. Like like you mentioned, like Rumbleverse, Naga City. Like those games are actually like everything I've heard is like. And I played Naga City. Naga City is an awesome game. Rumbleverse,
Yeah.
from everything I heard, that game looks incredible. The game sounds awesome. Um, yeah, just but everything I heard about Rumbleverse is after like a month, you're pretty much going into like games where like everybody was really good, and it's just
Yep.
like it's not like I can jump into like usually like once a year I'll get really into Fortnite for like 6 weeks, and I'll play a ton of it, and I have a great time with it. I get into like one season, I have a great time, and I can do that, and I can go and I can be competitive. I won a bunch of games last year when I got into it for like that month, and I had a great time, and I can be competitive in every game
Yeah.
because the game is big enough where I can face different ranges of talent, different ranges of like people that of skill level, and like everything you're hearing about like Rumbleverse was like it was basically just the hardcores left. It's like when you hear about like Rainbow Six Siege, where it's like, oh man, I really like to get in the game. That game's like 6 years old at this point, and only people playing it are like hardcore people. Um, so yeah, but I don't know how you continue to like like yeah. What are you looking for out of it? Like I get it, like everybody wants a game. Like Ubisoft, like we talked about like a week or two ago, was like they had over a dozen games and service games in development. We've seen uh like PlayStation, they talk about like Jimbo Ryan out there talk about like I think you have like a 10 games, like game service games in development, and it's like he talks about like we know some will fail, but the hope is like if one or two hit, yeah, it's gonna be great, and it will pay for the ones that fail, and it'll pay for the rest of like it'll help pay for the next game, the next big $200 million games they want to make. But and I just want to know like what are we looking for? What's the goal? Like you like oh yeah, the goal obviously is like the
Hmm.
best case scenario is a game that goes on forever, like a Fortnite that could just print fucking money for you. But I'm like,
That's the end result a lot of publishers and developers want to aim
yeah,
for in terms of a live service
which
game.
sounds fantastic, you know, like
Right.
if like crypto was a thing, I'd love to have a computer that just fucking grinded crypto all fucking day. It's not
Mm.
realistic, Gables.
No,
Um,
absolutely not.
uh, and yeah, like that's the goal. That's the thing. That's the pie in the sky thing that these developers want. But like, I want to know like, is Knockout City considered a success? This is a, I know EA was publishing it, but like this was a free to play dodgeball 3v3 game that went on
Hmm.
for that's gonna go on for at the June 6th. It'll be over 2 years of like going. Like to me, like I would to me as a consumer of that, I only played it for like a little bit, like maybe 10 hours the first like few weeks it was open. Um, to me, looking at it, like that's a success. Like Rumbleverse, obviously a failure. Crossfire X, obviously a failure. Back for Blood
Hmm.
probably didn't hit the way they thought it was gonna hit. Um,
Like smack dab in the middle.
yeah. Um, like I look at like I think like what you should be like, what the goal should be is like honestly like look at some of this like I know we like Ubisoft has been some shitty places, but you
Hmm.
look at like what they did with like Assassin's Creed and like Division Two and Division and shit like that, where it's like those games went on for a couple of years. They had content drops. People like they had a good dedicated audience, supported for a couple of years, and then moved on. Like I feel like that should be the initial what you're looking for.
Right.
And if it's bigger than that, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they supported up until like the last drop just came out like at the end of last year, like
Yes,
over
they
two
did.
years later.
2 years later, in Valhalla, it's finally done.
Yeah, um, like I feel like that should be like initially what you're looking for. Like do that, make a great quality game. Do some big drops a couple times a year. Obviously, you're gonna have the seasonal, the daily stuff like that, like
Right.
smaller stuff to keep everybody going back, give them a reason to go back. But have the big content drops, like the bigger ones, the paid ones, a couple times a year, and then boom, if you can keep a dedicated audience, and then if you're lucky enough to go on from that, then keep fucking going. But I feel like that's the way you should go. And I get like the idea of like these is like you don't have to have a ton of content day one. Like these games are far cheaper to make because you can have less content because you're gonna like, hey, here's a content plan, and then we can keep adding more and more, and we're gonna make a ton of money. Like I get the idea. Theory all sounds like not as much money initially, a lot of money in the end. It's the underwear gnomes from South Park. Step one, steal the underwear. Step two, question mark. Step three, profit. That's the goal. And I feel like they haven't feel yeah, I don't know. I just it's so frustrating because like us as consumers, we see the failure coming from like a mile away, and sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes we're wrong. Fortnite, the original Fortnite, the what it was before that, before they pivoted to a battle royale thing, like that was a
Hmm.
dud. And even when they turned into a battle royale thing, like okay, whatever. And then now it's Fortnite. It's
Yep.
Fortnite. Um, Destiny One was a 10-year plan.
Yeah, it
Immediately went
was.
to Destiny Two. Like, and
Hmm.
obviously they corrected it. They left Activision, corrected it since then. Um, Halo Infinite. It's supposed to be this was going to be the entire generation of Halo and Xbox. They're already moving on to the next Halo project.
Yep.
So
They pretty much wrapped up what they could do with Infinite and started moving on to something
yeah,
else.
like they're going to continue to support like season 3 starting soon. Okay, we'll see with this. The game's been out for over a year now, Halo Infinite,
Yep.
and we're still in season 2.
That's still crazy to me.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just continuing to be baffled by the game service thing. We're like, I get why they want it. I get why WB, these people that don't know video games super duper well, looking at you, Jimbo Ryan, and it's like we want that. We want the Fortnite thing, and it's like, okay, well it's really hard to do. No, 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 make it happen. So I don't know. I hope some of these work out. Obviously, I don't want these things to fail, um, but it's just it's so hard. I don't know what the best case scenario is. But Gills, we got to move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on to other news this week, and it's like 6 pages long. First off, MLB The Show 23 will be coming to Game Pass day one. I forgot to put the release date down, but I think it's into March. Uh,
Mm.
there was a PlayStation like live trailer thing they did where it's like a new bunch of news reports. And it showed like Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, stuff like that.
Yep.
But there's one game we didn't know that we didn't see. And it was a woman in a cave with a torch blowing off what looked like a treasure, and it looked like it was a possibly an Uncharted tease. So I don't know, Gables. Uh, we just talked about last week where
Yes,
like
we did.
the future of Uncharted, and now it kind of looks like they're teasing it. So it's like, in spoilers ahead for the end of Uncharted 4. If you want to know, skip ahead like a minute. But at the end of Uncharted 4, obviously we get introduced. They jump forward. We get introduced to Cassie Drake, who is the daughter of Nathan and Elena. And
Hmm.
is it going to be that? And I feel like at this point, like Gables, if you're doing that, they got to know that like everybody's immediately gonna, when they see that, gonna think Uncharted and Cassie. Like they
Yep.
got to know that. And if it's not that, it better be fucking something big, because that's gonna be a
Hmm.
huge disappointment to a lot of people if that's an Uncharted
Absolutely.
5 or what the fuck is they gonna call it.
Yeah, that's definitely an Uncharted tease to me. I don't know about you, Tyler, but
Yeah,
that definitely rung a major bell going into my head when I'm sitting, I'm laying in my bed watching WWE Raw, and all of a sudden I see that commercial flop up, and I just see the half, like maybe 2 second tease of like they just show Uncharted.
yeah. And I not only like that better be Uncharted, like that the next big like PlayStation showcase, wherever that's gonna be, that needs to be there, because that's gonna be hanging
Yeah.
above the head of um, of them, especially because we don't really know much from coming from PlayStation after really we got Spider-Man 2. That's about it.
Yep.
It sounds like 343 is going to be keeping Halo, and they're going to be working with Certain Affinity. They're switching over to the Unreal Engine, which we've already known about. We talked about that last year. But they're moving on to the next project, but it's probably not going to come out to the end of this generation or the next generation. So, yeah. PSVR 2 slash the projected output for the for well, PlayStation did for the PSVR 2, like I just said. Um, they originally, I think their plan was to release 2 million in the first like 4 months of out, and they dropped it down to like 1.5 million, just due to poor pre-orders. And like I kind of got feeling something was up, because I got multiple emails from them about, hey, you can pre-order a PSVR 2, where like initially you had to like get into a line to do it and like hopefully get lucky, and now they're like, hey, would you guys please want to order one of these things? um but I don't know. It's the thing I talked about when they initially announced this thing like a year or two ago, where it's like I said this years and years before that, where like I feel like VR was going to be a fad, kind of like motion controls were, and it kind of feels like, I mean, it's more than I thought it would be. It's not so much a fad, but it's got a very dedicated audience, and now we're at the point where like people are freaking out with the price point, and yeah, it's fucking high,
Yep.
$550, but that's actually a reasonable price for the price of fucking VR heads. Like good quality VR headsets go anywhere from $500 to $1,500. Um,
That's true.
but where it's weird because like at this point that thing is coming out in on the 22nd. We are 18 days away. It's 11:25 p.m. February 4th as of this recording time. Uh, and there's been no major press releases, no major
Nope.
commercials, no state of
Nope.
play. The like there's 22 games I believe at launch. Most of them are ports. A couple cool looking ones in there. Like I think the Call of the Mountain looks pretty cool. But the thing I've talked about for a very long time, very very long time, isn't the launch. What's coming at launch? What's that launch window looking like? What we got for me in 3 months? We got for me in 6 months. Like that's the big thing. That's what I think was big for the Switch. That's what was big for PS5. Was like when they showed this thing off. Like, hey, here's what's coming on launch day, but here's what's coming out. In a month from now. Here's what you're gonna be playing in 2 months from now. Here's what you're gonna be playing at next holiday. Like, boom. Here's like 6, 7 big games you're gonna be playing. Here's the next year of quality content coming just from us. Not even third party, just from us. And it's like we got Call of the Mountain at launch, and then there's that the Dark Anthology roller
Hmm.
coaster game coming, I think, a couple months later, and that's about it. So, and then the rest is ports. And then hey, like you might have bought this game on PSVR one or elsewhere, but you got to buy it again here. So I don't know. I'm so out on VR, so it's like it's one of those things where it's like Gables, you're never really into it. I have the PSVR sitting in my closet. It's been there for years. Um,
You want to know what's funny? And I think what's the most funniest part about this is like I feel like that people have just gotten to the point where it's like, you know what? They hardly supported the original PlayStation VR
well, they
over the
did a
extent
good
that it
job for a
was
long
available.
time. It's just the stuff with like because they put like
Yeah,
Iron Man. They had a lot of big like Astrobot. They had good stuff in there. It's just few and
not
far
claiming that
between.
they didn't have good games though, but yeah, every few and far between. But in regards to this whole PSVR 2, I mean, I think it's a red flag that they have not even remotely done a lot of advertising for the device itself.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, it still could have like fantastic games at its launch. I mean, yeah, we should know a lot of the launch window of this device itself, but it, it's really on Sony to go forth and start pushing their products out. I mean, Sony does have a track record of not really going through and pushing advertisements for some of their peripherals.
yeah.
The PlayStation Vita being one of the major things,
PSP.
and the PSP,
Yeah.
and the PlayStation Eye,
Yeah, I was getting ready to say
and the
PlayStation. You beat me fucking
PlayStation
to it.
Move,
Yeah.
and the PlayStation Move.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I think you're right. We're like non-console. I think the initial VR was like the best they've ever pushed something that wasn't a main console. Um, and this definitely feels like where it's like they were too far in, and it's like we got too much. Like the train is moving. We can't stop this. We just got to put it out, and like maybe we can make some money back on this thing because like yeah, it does. It just this thing feels like it's dead on arrival, and it's like
Yep,
the thing I've said for multiple years now about the VR. VR is not a big enough. There's not a big enough market for this thing where like Facebook has the Meta, Steam has I can't remember what Steam has. There's another one. There's like I think there's four bigger ones out there, and they all have their own exclusives. They have like Facebook especially has been buying up studios to make games for their exclusively for the Meta Quest. And it's like VR isn't a big enough market where you can have I get it like you want to have exclusives. That's the whole point of having these things. But like the
right.
market isn't big enough to like segregate these things off to different headsets. Like
Nope.
it's the market's big enough to have multiple consoles with exclusives. Not VR, but VR is a fraction of 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 that. Where it's like, yeah, I don't. I mean, like say they're gonna have 1.5 million out in the first 4 months. I think as of December 31st, they're at about 33 million units sold of the PS5. So you're talking about you expect about around 4% of your audience to buy that thing. That seems like a lot to me.
That's being generous.
Yeah. And the PS4 one was extremely successful. Like they were blown away by how successful that thing was. The problem was like the thing with the tech wasn't very good, but it was at a really good price point for the market. This one is the tech is supposed to be extremely good, but the price point is that market. So it's like I don't know. I like I said, I feel like this thing is gonna come out, and in 18 months we won't hear about it anymore. Um, but
It always has the possibility.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It feels like the 3DS after the Switch came out, honestly. Um,
That's true.
moving on here though, Star Wars
Uh,
Jedi Survivor has been delayed from March 17th, I believe, was the initial date to the 20 of April to April 28th. It's about a 6 week delay.
mhm.
Um, whatever game gets delayed happens, but a pretty tough time. I was looking, April 19th is the Horizon Burning Shores. April 28th, I think on that same date, uh, Dead Island 2 comes out. May 2nd, Redfall. May 12th, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So a rough time to come out. But I mean, even with like the original date, you're coming in within like a 10-day period of Resident Evil 4, but a lot
I
less.
actually think that this is probably the best scenario they could have done in terms of delaying it because you're looking at a situation to where people are going to be mostly engrossed with RE4 remake in the month of March and stuff to where it was initially supposed to release in that month, but you still have enough time to where you can have some bit of exposure before a game like Redfall and also Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, like you were just stating and stuff. So it is probably going to be a smarter move for their part just
Yeah,
to have it delayed to that.
and
I'm actually like that.
yeah, I mean, also like I mean, obviously this game probably needed the time. They said it's content, but the game is done. It's just now we're doing bug fixes, and that was a big thing that like I talked about. A lot of people talked about was that game initially.
Mm,
The first one that came out, that game was just buggy and like, extremely frustrating. And that was like that. This was a game of the year
right.
contender that barely made my top 10 list in 2019 because of like how frustrated I was playing the game because of the bugs. And I said this initially when the game was announced for March was like, well, maybe not coming out in November, coming out in March. That's the 4 months they needed initially. But also, there's always that like PTSD to me, where EA putting a game out in March usually means the game is like it's not done yet, but like hey, we want to get it in before the fiscal year's over. Looking at you, Mass Effect Andromeda. Looking at you,
Mm,
SimCity. Looking at you, Mass Effect 3.
mm,
Um, so
mm.
there's a lot of PTSD there with EA putting a game out in March. So I mean, the fact that they're willing to bump it down to April 28th tells me that game definitely needed time.
Progress.
Yeah, probably. Hey, we're getting somewhere. Hey, and you know what? Hey, we got Dead Space. We got It Takes Two. We got this game coming out. EA. I know people don't like to give EA credit, but hey, they're doing some cool shit. Um, but yeah,
Progress.
progress. Yeah, we're getting there. We're looking at all these. We're talking about all these other big studios putting out like trying to force feed out games and services, and here we go. Here we are. EA is like, hey, what about single player games? So what is happening? Like this was a studio that used to force multiplayer and open world games into everything, and we had to pay like $10 if you bought a game used to play online. And here they are putting like, hey guys, maybe we should make a single player game. So
Progress.
progress. Uh, good job.
I love how it just all comes back to it. You know, all
Yeah,
comes
it's
back
like
to what they were fucking doing initially.
yeah, it's like what if we just put out good quality games, guys? Like people, you make great games, they will come. I'm from Iowa. I know all about that. You know, if you build it, they will come. Um, moving on here, James Gunn, who is now running DC, like the movie universe, has talked about he is now he wants to make it so like the video games, the movies, the TV shows all work in unison together. And he even wants to use like the actors from the movies and TV shows to do the DC, the video games. And he wants to make that part of the DCEU because they're creating like a new universe because they totally fucked up the first one. Um, I say good luck to you. This sounds like a guy that doesn't understand how video games work. So it's like, hey, games take like 5-6 years to make. It's like cool. Yeah, like
Yeah.
think about it like this, Gables. If they would have started a Batman game, say a Batman game was coming out this year, and it's like, hey, we want to use Ben Affleck to be the voice of Batman. Like, cool, all right. Like, say this game, that game would have started in like production in 2017. He would have done all the lines. Um, that was like 2 Batmans ago at this point. So, good luck to you, my friend. Yeah. Uh, Allegedly, Amazon bought Tomb Raider for $600 million, and they want to do a MCU version of Tomb Raider.
Am I hearing this right?
They want to make a Tomb Raider universe, Gables.
My mind is still trying to wrap around the concept. I am not joking. I mean, I could understand maybe having like I can understand maybe having like a game or something like a reboot of
Well,
like
they are
various
publishing the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider game they're making.
right. But having an extended universe just from Tomb Raider?
What else is there besides Lara Croft? Like, are there any other famous characters?
No.
I know.
No.
I
The most notable character is Laura Croft
yeah. There's not a
inside
like.
Tomb Raider.
There's not a plethora of characters that were not made in these games.
Like, what the hell are we going to go forth and have include characters from some of the spin-off stuff like the Temple of Osiris and all this other stuff? I mean, come on.
I don't know, Gables.
Well,
It's yeah, I don't know.
I'm with you on this boat, man. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're trying to do in regards to that plan, but well, it's going to be fairly entertaining to see it come to fruition, hopefully.
Yeah, good for them. It's funny though that Embracer. We figured out what Embracer's finally doing with them buying up all these IPs and studios.
They're
They
selling them
bought
off.
what? Yeah. So they bought Embracer bought Tomb Raider IP for $300 million and then flipped it to
Hmm.
Amazon for $600 million. So maybe they know what they're doing. Um, so and also they're getting the public like they're also being paid by Amazon to publish a game because they bought Crystal Dynamics. So I mean they're just fucking rolling the money from them. Uh, next year Nintendo was bringing back the vouchers. People don't remember that they announced vouchers a few years ago. And they discontinued after like a year or two, where basically you can go on and you can buy for $100 um, a voucher from them, and then you can buy 2 games on the eShop. So like really, you can save $20, and that's essentially. Which I wish we had brought this back last year because I literally bought um, Mario plus Rabbids and Pokemon Violet last year digitally. So
Hmm.
god damn it, would have saved me $20. But hey, I like this. I mean whatever. Hey, a deal's a deal, and it's smart on their behalf because it makes people more likely want to buy games digitally. So that's fucking incredibly smart.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I
Yeah,
mean, hey,
I'm kind of surprised they
it
ever got rid of
works.
it. I don't know why they got rid of it. So I don't know. It's weird they just bring it back. It's just kind of weird. Um, next up, we just gave Gables. I want you to take back the progress we just gave EA, because we talked about progress, and then they literally just came to my home, came into my house, and then kicked me right fucking square in the goddamn fucking nuts. They canceled a Titanfall sequel, Gables. It was gonna be called Titanfall Legends, allegedly. BT, my fucking boy, my goddamn sweet baby boy BT was coming back. They're bringing him back, Gables. That beautiful fucking boy of mine. I love him so fucking very much. I know he's a robot. Don't fucking talk shit about BT. He's the man. Anyways, you're gonna play as a Apex Legend character. It's gonna take place in the Apex universe. Um,
Makes sense.
Gables. It was John Wick meets Tony Hawk meets Doom 2016. These are just some of my favorite things, and they were
Huh.
gonna put them in a goddamn game together.
Interesting core concepts. Hmm.
That sounds amazing. I want those. I want all of that. Why? God damn it. My 2 favorite first FPS games ever made: Doom 2016, Titanfall 2. And they were going to incorporate Titanfall 2 into Doom 2016, into Tony Hawk, into goddamn John Wick. All of these things are amazing.
Hmm.
And they canceled it, Gables.
They were. Uh.
With
Yep.
BT, my boy. I don't know if I
Yeah,
told you,
that's
but that's my
that's
boy.
fairly disappointing, honestly. I mean, come on. I mean, we're at the point though where Apex Legends has already been pretty much successful for EA, but having something like that just outright canceled and us knowing about it now, that just deflate. That's just awfully deflating, regardless of shit. You know.
Yeah. I usually love, I like when things get leaked. I like to read about that stuff. Like Tom Henderson, Jeff Grubb, Jason
Hmm.
Schreier. But I say to you, to those 3 motherfuckers, fuck you, because I wish you never would have told me about this. I accepted the fact there was no hope of of a Titanfall game after EA fucked Titanfall by putting it out in between Battlefield, literally the weeks in between Battlefield and Call of Duty.
Yeah, they killed their own game.
Killed
Huh.
their own game. You goddamn right. And I accepted the fact after it took me a lot of years in therapy um, to finally accept the fact we'll never get a Titanfall 3. And here we are. Not only did they cancel it, but then they said, hey, it's supposed to be John Wick meets Tony Hawk meets Doom 2016.
That just sounds crazy to me.
It sounds like the greatest game of all time. And we'll never see it. And it hurt me to hear. And I had to, immediately got to put a phone call into my therapist because I need to talk to her about this. Uh, you laugh. Uh, it's actually just a cardboard cutout of BT. It's my therapist. I don't know if you know about the American healthcare system. It's not great, Gables. I can't afford therapy, so I just talked about cardboard cutout of BT. But anyways, um, speaking of something else I love, Coalition canceled two smaller games. I talked about this for a long time now. They were making a small Unreal Engine 5 game to like kind of get used to the Unreal 5 engine, because really outside of the Coalition, outside of Epic, nobody knows the Unreal Engine better than Coalition, because they were literally they broke off of Epic to continue to make Gears of War after 3. Um, so those two games got canceled. Sounds like they got canceled sometime last year.
Yeah.
But Gear 6 has been in early development for a long time. They basically
Uh-huh.
canceled that to just go full bore into Gear 6. So that kind of sucks. So I'd love to see what they do, because like Highbusters came out, Gears 5 Highbusters came out a couple years ago, and that was fucking awesome. It was like a 2-hour campaign. Um, that was really cool, and like man, I totally dig to be in, like, to see what the fuck else they can do with like Unreal 5 engines, all that, like a smaller title, but not gonna happen. But hey, Gears 5, my game of the year 2018. Fuck yeah, give me Gears 6. So I don't know. Um, Also, Wolverine, the Insomniac game that was announced a couple years ago, um, that apparently is, they're hopeful that game will come out in late 2024, but most likely 2025. It'll be more like it's not gonna be like an open world game, but like a more like open area type of game. So um, more like a kind of like God of War is, stuff like that, like that Metroidvania style game where it's like, it's a bigger area, but like a bunch of smaller areas that eventually become a bigger area once you unlock areas, sections. That makes
Hmm.
sense. Uh, so that's kind of the idea of that one. It's supposed to be rated M, and it's supposed to take
Nice.
place before he joins the X-Men. So um,
Hmm.
yeah, that's pretty sweet.
That sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm totally in on that one. Redfall, well, apparently, even on playing single player, you'll need to be. This is actually not apparently. This is confirmed. If you play Redfall single player, you'll have to be online at all times, regardless if you're single player
That
or
sucks.
multiplayer. So Gables just continuing my reservations about this game being a games of service. Um, yeah. Next up here, Metal Gear Rising. They were Platinum did a tweet. Apparently, they're, they're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Metal Gear Rising. That's on February 21st, so a couple weeks out. And we talked about this with the voice actor of Raiden from Rising. Um, Said they're going to announce something in the coming weeks. Here it is. No idea if it's going to be like, is it going to be a remake, a remaster, a sequel? Maybe it's just a fucking t-shirts. Who knows? But after
Can't dismiss any of the possibilities.
No, I mean, especially with the combination of, you know, him bringing the fact that the voice actor brings it up. Like, why the fuck would he
Yeah.
care? Um, the game had a big resurgence last year. I don't know why. That game's not good. It's a bad game, guys. Move on. It wasn't a very good game in 2013. I assure you, after I played a good chunk of it last year, it was a bad game in 2022. So I don't know why we need to do more of this. Um, but also, last but not least, here, Gables, PS Plus collection is ending on May 9th. But you can still go in
Hmm.
and download the games and add up, or download the games, but you can add the games to your account. So even after the service is done, you at least will have access to them as long as you have a PS Plus account. So um,
All
yeah,
right.
that's something. But Gables, um, man, we went long there on that one. But I have to pee really bad, Gables. Um, Tell me
Yeah.
what you've been playing, buddy.
All right. So this week, one of which is the continuation of the remake. I loved. I've loved a lot of the atmospheric take inside this Dead Space remake so far. Just to continue from last week, I got the chapter 3 portion of it.
Nice.
I decided to I decided to go out and get myself a decent pair of headphones. So now I actually have the Pulse 3D headphones for my PS5 now. And while playing that game and stuff, I had the headphones on. Everything just sounded so
Mm-hmm.
super crisp. There was actually times where sounds would be going on and happening. I would be thinking that they were out of my room. Like, what the hell? What the hell? It's like it's the strangest feeling to where I'm not only getting used to the whole 3D audio aspect to try to play this game, but on top of that, it's like now I'm trying to trying to piece together where in the world is the sound coming from? Why is this sounding so close, or why is it sounding so far away in regards to where I'm located out in the Ishimura? So trying to figure things out, yeah, that was fun. But I'm still loving the gameplay of Dead Space remake. I mean, this game feels fucking phenomenal. The whole atmosphere, the whole tenseness of everything, it's honestly one of the best horror games I've played in quite a while. I mean, I don't really play too many horror style games. I don't generally finish a lot of them. I think the last major one I did go through and play through and finish was like Outlast. That was a while ago. But at the same point, I'm really loving the direction of this game. The pacing of it is fine. I love the idea that they've went through, kind of made it sort of like a pseudo like Metroidvania style of thing with a lot of backtracking here and there. If you could choose to do the backtracking, or you could just choose just to go through straight through the game, I am now initially past the portion where I had to use my boots and stuff like that to go through the terrain and stuff and get to another part of the Ishimura and stuff in order to try to get a couple different key items and stuff to advance the story. Like I said before, I think I'm past chapter 2. I know I'm on chapter 3 then I think about it. But yeah, the enemies have been fast and furious. I mean, the necromorphs, very grotesque, very detailed. What's kind of hilarious about it is even after like taking out a bunch of the necromorphs and stuff, I mean, the ammo still is kind of a issue with playing this. I mean, I'm playing it on normal. I'm going through and seeing the full on experience in regards to what the developers wanted me to go forth and experience. And quite honestly, man, it is just like almost like a grotesque masterpiece. This game is, to where everything's all hyper detailed, everything's all hyper like focused in terms of what you need to be doing. You're trying to find your love interest and stuff, and see where she went and stuff. This entire thing, but game looks fine. The accessibility stuff is fine. I mean, I don't really have anything negative to say about Dead Space Remake too much. I mean, hell, it's just one of those aspects to where a lot of the nitpicks here and there is just basically because I don't really play a lot of like survival horror games in that regards. So of course, like ammo issues are going to be a little bit apparent, or so things are going to be sort of out of whack. But it wasn't the only game I did end up playing this week. I did start Fire Emblem Engage as well because I wanted to at least get things going. So I played a little over an hour of this game so far. Went through the basic tutorial stuff. I have not gone into the meat and potatoes of trying to experiment with character classes and doing all this other stuff. But I am kind of liking the initial aspect, the whole concept of like doing the like options and stuff, to where basically you take control of one out of like 12 different like rings, emblem rings and stuff that's available. And all of them are based upon specific characters in the Fire Emblem series. Like there is a ring that's more reminiscent to like say Marth and Roy and like Ike from past previous games and stuff. And then there's some from like the newer releases, like Byleth and stuff from Three Houses, or like a Corn. I think Corn is one of the ones as well that was from Fates. But the whole core aspect of it is like all these different rings, these emblem rings, contribute specific type of incremental improvements. Like it'll either allow you a specific ability in order for you to perform something in regards to it being like over the top or something, or some of the minor rings that you'll collect will create like incremental little updates based upon if you wanted to go forth and kind of craft other components into making it like a better ring. But I have not gotten to that portion yet. But I'm really liking that. Just for kicks and giggles, I decided to try a little bit of Mega Man 7 as well because hell, I already went through the first 6 games of that game in the span of a month. So I'm like, okay, let's try a little bit of Mega Man 7. It's like the Super Nintendo port and stuff. And what's kind of funny about it is I choose like the first robot master I choose is like the one that has like all the electric attacks and stuff, like the turbine sort of S type of attacks. I instinctively went to the right corresponding paths, like for the first 4 bosses. So yeah, I pretty much beat the first 4 bosses of Mega Man 7, right? Like I went through the electric at first, and like I went through Junkman stage next, and then all of a sudden this Crystal Man, and then like the last one and stuff. I forget what the last one's name is and stuff. I don't really think some of these bosses are really too memorable so far. I mean, Junkman, he was easier to remember because his whole entire stage and stuff, you're just basically going through like a big old scrapyard sort of S type of stage and stuff, and try to beat all these different types of trash oriented robots and stuff, which includes like some sort of crazy like trash serpent that goes around inside of some of the pits. I'm like, what the hell? But oh yeah, so going halfway through like the robot bosses and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, that was it. But what's kind of hilarious about it, I did try for like maybe a little bit playing GoldenEye 007 on my Xbox One through because I have that game through
Yeah.
Rare
Oh,
Replay.
okay.
I have it for free. So I'm like, I've downloaded that. And as soon as I'm starting to play it and I'm actually starting to get a little bit adjusted to it, I'm like, oh my God, the controls are not
Yeah.
shit. They're
I know.
not
I played the first
shit.
level. I'm like, oh my god, the
Like,
controls aren't shit. Oh no, the game is shit though.
I know, right? And this is the first realization to where I'm like, okay, I'm now playing this game with good, decent controls. I turn off the auto aim. I'm like, okay, I'm playing a little bit of this, and it's starting to slowly realize. I'm slowly starting to realize it's like, well, this controls like a modern game, but now everything else is starting to
Yeah.
seem less as a response. But I went to like maybe the first couple of levels and stuff, and I stopped after going through completely of like the facility level, but I failed two of my objectives because I did not meet with 006 and I did not get these stupid bottles destroyed or something like that before ending and stuff. And I forgot that was a thing to where you could not choose specific difficulties for each level. It basically depends upon what you need to do like for that specific level. So it's like the first stage you can actually do like the lowest the lowest difficulty if you choose to, but then all the other ones you still have to do like these recommended like mission stuff in each and every level. But other than that though, man, that's my gaming for this week.
Um,
How about you,
I'm
Tyler?
kind of more same with you. I jumped around a little bit here, but I did beat Dead Space. Finished that. It took me about a little over 12 hours, 12 and a half hours, give or take. And but I
There you
did like a good chunk of backtracking. I did all the side quests. Not a lot, but there's like three or four, and they're like they're meaty. There's enough in there. I would recommend that people like 'cause some of them like you can only go up to a certain point until you progress enough into like the main campaign to continue on with them. And the nice thing is I love this, the fact it tells you it won't it'll like it'll turn red, mean that and it'll tell you you can't continue that side quest until you progress through the game, which I love because like it saves you fucking time from like oh what the
Oh,
fuck where I go from
okay.
here, like it just tells you. And then like once you're able to you progress the area you need to be, then it will let you know, hey, you continue to progress. I'm like fuck yeah. um I love that. um but yeah, I beat the game. It's more the same as I said last week where um the gameplay is fantastic. I love it. The game is legitimately scary. Jump scares, multiple like not just like jump scares, but like oh like the verbally like oh my god, oh fuck, kind of like jump scares like where like something just sneaks up behind you. Um, I love like Ishimura, like the way they kind of put everything together, like especially with like the tram system. Like that was in the first game, but like there's no loading or no
Mm-hmm.
cutscenes or like anything like that between it, and like everything, and you can just
No.
walk from area to area without going through the tram. Like everything is connected, and it's like it has that. It's like I said,
Yeah.
like they turned it more into a Metroidvania where everything all flows together and everything connects together, and like I can get from one point of the map to the other point of the map in maybe 10 minutes if I go the correct route to get there. So even like if you have to backtrack a little bit to like once you progress enough to like where you get to the next clearance level, so now I can go into these rooms I couldn't get into before. Only gonna take me like 10 minutes maybe to backtrack and get all that, get everything. Like I got to the point where like I unlocked one of the side quests. You unlock like the master clearance thing. Like that's an optional thing you can do, and like there's a ton of gear, and that's how you get like unlock the last like upgrade trees for all your weapons. And like I did all that, and like it was nice go on the map and look to see like, okay, cool, it's here, and I could just fucking get there real fast. And it took me like 20 minutes to backtrack, and go to like 6 rooms. It was great. Um, so I like all that. The only thing I maybe like is like let me like select, maybe let me make a waypoint because that was kind of frustrating because like you can only you hit R3 and then like it'll show you the way you got to go for like your side mission or your main mission. And I wish it would like, hey, let
Right.
me create a one because that was the way I get. Sometimes I get confused where I was like, how the fuck did I get to this room? But like figured out. It didn't take super duper long, but it's just enough. I'm like, hey, little nitpick there. Like let me do that. But yeah, I blown away by this game. It did a good job of like modernizing it, changing it. Like it's not just a full blown complete remake of this. It is definitely like they took inspirations from like a Resident Evil 2 and 3, where it's like, hey, we're gonna change this enough to like we're like, hey, but there's like they're adding to it, but like they're adding to it smartly. They're making it better. Um,
Right.
and they're not just like adding for the sake of adding. And they're like, oh well, we gotta put our own flair to this, or we gotta like make the game longer or anything like that. Like no, like we're adding side quests that actually add some good quality content to this game, and we're adding side quests that like make it so like worth it. So you're getting better gear and better upgradables, and you're getting making everything. Nothing feels like a waste of time in this game, which is great, and especially a game that's a survival horror game where ammo, health, and stuff is limited. So it's like backtracking because this game is not like there's like a I can't remember what it's called, but there's like a they have a like something runs in the background that will like kind of like randomizes when enemies appear. Where it's like you haven't had anything happen for a long time, or you got a lot of health, or you got a lot of ammo. So like there's this like little meter that runs in the background. You can't see it. There's no way to know. And it's just like that's when like stuff will pop out. So if you're backtracking a lot and you're spending a lot of time doing side stuff, like it can cost you because you're losing health, you're losing ammo, and you're wasting resources potentially here because you're not finding stuff. You're not like continuing to get better stuff. I love it because like and they did such a great job of like balancing out the fact of like there'd be stretches where like yeah I definitely had a ton of ammo, and then like you get to these onslaughts and it's like all right well like I'm struggling here. I got a little bit. I only got a couple of health items. Like they did such a great job of like keeping you on edge of like you're never like fully like prepared like where like I am fucking John Rambo here, and but you're also like I have one little drop of health and six bullets. Like you're never there either though. They did such a great job of like always keeping you balanced, and I love that. So yeah, like I love the story. I love the change they made the story where like, Isaac Clarke talks now, but it's not like it's not. There's no. He's not like being. There's no jokes. He talks very. Like, but it makes sense because
Mm.
I hate, and especially in voice acted games, where the characters are always talking to you and you just never respond. It's like this is weird and like it's just a bygone era of gaming to me. And it's like usually he's just responding to the conversations that are happening. He never once talks to himself. He's never once talking to like the player. He's only talks when people talk to him, and I like that a lot. Um, Makes more sense. And like I said, like the changes they made to the story were like they're like introducing the crazy like I'm not really spoiling the game because like it's like in the very beginning of the game where like they're introducing the weird religion at the beginning of the game. They're talking about the marker. They're talking about like what's going on here. Like instead of like giving a bunch of like shit in like the last like hour of the game, like everything is like explained to you at a good pace, and like some of the side quests in the game like do just a great job of like explaining more of like what happens and like what's happening to like the characters that you're introduced throughout the game. I like that a lot, and it just there's nothing better to me than like a good survival horror Metroidvania. Like I talk about like Resident Evil 4 is one of the greatest games of all time to me. I beat that game more than any other game I've ever played in my entire life. Um, and it's funny because like the original Dead Space was like that kind of filled that gap for me for a while, and now it's funny like come full circle here where Dead Space is kind of filling the gap until Resident Evil 4 remake comes out in a couple months. So it's kind of funny,
Huh.
20 years later, here we are, and that's kind of like full circle here. But yeah, like it just kind of reminds me of like man, like I was like really defending Callisto Protocol, and I still think that game is fine. It's a good 7.5 game. But like it definitely puts it into perspective just how much better Dead Space is than Callisto Protocol. Like it reminds like oh no, this is what a really great survival horror game feels like. Um, yeah, so like even though I think there's certain things that Callisto Protocol, like I think like the story is better. I think the characters are more interesting. Um, but yeah, like playing Dead Space though is just far superior. Um, yeah, and it blows me away. Like this is like definitely like it's crazy. Last January I said this about Pokemon Arceus, and I feel the same way now. Like Dead Space isn't in my top five. At the end of when we do Game of the Year 2023, Dead Space isn't in my top five. This is gonna be an incredible year. And part of the reason why I think that
Yeah.
this will be an incredible year is because another game I've been playing, Hi-Fi Rush. Uh, so I'm like I'm pretty close. I'm like getting right up to the boss of level 3. Um, and my God, this game is like living up to all the hype. Like it's living up to that initial trailer, that shadow drop. Everybody's been saying about it. Like I was a little worried because it's been out for a little over a week now, and I haven't just because I want to beat Dead Space before I got to the Hi-Fi Rush. Um, and I'm just this game is just an utter blast. It is like I love the anime of it, Gables. Yes, I said that. I love the anime of it. I love the characters. Like it's legitimately funny. Um, just over the topness of them. I love Chai, the main character. He's such a fucking idiot. The fact that he always constantly somehow lands on his fucking face is hilarious to me. I don't understand it. How do you always land on your face? Like, explain this to me. It's incredible. The guy, but 808, the cat with you, is very funny and adorable. Even though I'm a dog guy, the cat is very adorable, and I like the little mannerisms it makes and stuff like that. Even though it's a robot cat. Um, you meet Peppermint, who's like your sidekick with you. That like the it's a 3D platformer with like a lot of collectibles and stuff like that. They can use to upgrade your abilities or like give you more gears that which is like the currency in the game, or just like you find like things you can add to your hideout, like murals or
Mm.
little posters or whatever you can add to it. Um, but I like the combat is really really good. It's fairly simple as far as X normal attack, Y strong attack. Then you have like side abilities you can do, like you have like your special attacks you can hit. They can do, and then you have like Chai has like a special attack she can come out and shoot and break shields for you, or maybe it kind of helps stun some enemies for you at the same as well. But like I talk about multiple times now, where like there was that game that came out that Shadow dropped last June at one of the indie directs, I believe. That Nintendo had. It was
Mm-hmm.
like a shooter, top-down shooter game. I can't remember what it's called now, but it was like I love the music, I love the style, I love all of it. But I was struggling. It took me forever just to beat the first level. And I couldn't beat the second level because I
Mm.
have zero rhythm. It just makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. Um, Even though like in this game is like the same thing. Like everything in this game, like the cutscenes, everything that happens in this game, even like just the shit on the side, like smoke spraying out, everything happens to the rhythm, to the beat. So there is just no way for you not to know what the beat is, and I just can't do it. I simply can't do it. I tried, uh, but like they said, like like when they announced the game, I was like, you don't have to be good at the beat. Like you can just like it just gives you get more gears, you can get better scores, shit like that. But ultimately, you can still beat the game without doing it. It might make it harder for like there's definitely like treasure chests you can find where you gotta like um hit like do a 3 hit combo thing to the beat. And I've definitely struggled where I failed like 20 times in a row trying to hit to the beat, and I just couldn't do it. I finally got it, but like I was like I don't understand what the fuck I'm doing wrong here. Um, but like there's different like they also make it very accessible. Like you can hit like the select button on the Xbox controller. I don't know what the actual title is, but it's like where typically the select button is on the controller, and that'll bring up a metronome at the bottom of the screen. That allegedly will help you. It won't help me because I have no rhythm whatsoever. I've tried it. I just turned it off because I'm like it doesn't work for me. Um, but yeah, the music is awesome. Even though like there's certain like because like I think there's only like 2 like songs in each level like that are like made for the game. Like usually about halfway through the song will change, and it just kind of repeats over and over again. But it's not like annoying at all. It's very good. Like it changes enough throughout the level that like you're never like okay, I'm so fucking tired hearing this beat. And then like the final boss fight always has like an actual like licensed song, and then like, there's like a Black Keys song in there. There's a Nine Inch Nails song in there. There's a couple other one. There's another one. I can't remember what the level 2 boss fight was, but the boss fights are really cool, really well done. I love all that. But yeah, I'm having just an absolute blast. I love the whole package. Just works so well together. I'm having such a great fucking time. And yeah, I mean, if you have Game Pass and Gables, what we call Game Pass, you goddamn right.
Best deal in gaming.
Um, if you have Game Pass, there's no reason for you not to play this game. It's a $30 game. I actually went ahead and I just bought before I even played the game. I was so into it. There's a deluxe edition, and if you have Game Pass, you can just buy the upgrade for $8. I just went and fucking bought it. Gives you some extra gears to start off with, and then you get like extra costumes. And one of the costumes is like it's a T-shirt that says I bought the deluxe edition. And all I got was this T-shirt, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm definitely putting that on. That's for sure. My character has that. So yeah. But this game is just a complete fucking blast. I have to put the first hour of Forspoken, but Gables, I'm gonna save that for another day. So that's what I'm playing.
Okay.
But yeah. But
Nice.
I want to thank you guys for check us out, watching the show, liking the show. Like I said, top of the show, like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends. Look down the description down below, whether you're an audio or video listener, and click on those links. Check us out in all those places. Follow, like I said, like, follow, subscribe, 5 stars, leave a comment, all that fun jazz. Really, like I said, really would appreciate if you do that for us. But I was host, I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk
Hey,
Nerds
Gables.
podcast.
Too sweet.
Yep.
Bye,
Too
guys.
sweet, man.